Hey everyone, welcome back. We're the Filmsmiths. I'm Nick.
And I'm Zach.
Today, we are going to finally start bringing you our best and worst lists of 2014.
It's time!
Sorry it took so long. If you saw our update video a while back, you'll know exactly why we did it. Basically, we can't see every good film that we want to by the end of the year. It takes us some time to track them down. We have finally seen everything that we feel like we need to. The lists are done.
We got it. We got lists.
They're laminated.
They're published.
They are
on this YouTube channel.
On this YouTube channel pretty soon. So today we're going to bring you my top list. We started with doing top 10s, but I have had too much trouble trying to cut it down. I'm basically doing a top 10 with 10 honorable mentions. You can call it top 20 if you want. Either or, that's what I'm doing.
And I'm going to be bringing you a top 10 with 5 honorable mentions. You can call it top 15 if you want.
And then after that, we will be doing a top 5 worst movies with probably about 5 honorable mentions as well. Dishonorable mentions, I suppose.
Hey.
Ooh. Those will all be coming out in the next couple of days. With that said, let's get on with my list.
Let's do it.
Go home.
Alright, I'm out. Taking my book.
You just gonna stay in there? So, with my list, with numbers 11 through 20, I'm not going to discuss them at the moment. I'll just kind of run through the names, let you see what they are. You can look them up if you want, but I will go into a little bit more depth with my top 10, and then, you know, we're just gonna see what happens. Here are 11 through 20, but counting from 20 up to the top because that's how numbers work. Number 20, The Box Trolls. Number 19, The Rover. Number 18, X-Men Days of Future Past. Number 17, Ida. Number 16, Two Faces of January. Number 15, Locke. Number 14, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 13, The Theory of Everything. Number 12, The Imitation Game, and number 11, Only Lovers Left Alive. Now, just to cut it down to even that many movies was very, very difficult for me. I really liked Big Eyes, you know, American Sniper, Boyhood, Selma, any of those could have made it on there, but I decided to cut the bigger names for some smaller ones that maybe aren't getting as much attention. Hopefully more people will see them now. But now it is time to start the top 10. My number 10 film is Enemy, directed by Denis Villeneuve, and it stars Jake Gyllenhaal and Jake Gyllenhaal. Now this was coming right off of the heels of Prisoners, same director, same actor, which blew me away. And Enemy did just the same thing. Now what you've got is, there are two Jake Gyllenhaals, basically, and you know, they start to realize that, are they identical twins? You know, maybe they are just two sides of the same personality. There's a lot of question marks going on in this film. And I just loved thinking about it. You know, every now and then you just want a movie where you don't understand it, but the act of trying to figure it out is the most fun thing about it. And after I saw Enemy, I had so many questions, and I saw it a second time, and I still didn't know for sure. I've got my own theories, and that's great. You know, I love watching this film just to see if, can I make my theories make sense? Can I convince other people that this is what it is? It stuck with me for a very long time. I just love Enemy. It's a real good thinking movie. My number 9 film is Snowpiercer. Now, if you saw our Snowpiercer review, you already have an idea of how I feel. I just really, really like sci-fi films as a first. Sci-fi is my favorite individual genre. If I can watch a sci-fi film that is good, I'm very happy. And then you give me, you know, this sci-fi film with a lot of action that isn't dumb. You know, there's a lot more going on to it than just, oh, it's an apocalyptic future and we're killing people because, I don't know, action. You know, there's a lot more to it than that. And the concept of everyone in the world is just living on this one train that has everything there is, and they don't know anything about what's going on outside, that was really interesting to me. And I know it's based off a graphic novel that now I really want to read, but Chris Evans, in his first big role that isn't Captain America in a while, that I really, really liked him, and it gives him a bit more range. Tilda Swinton is always great to watch, and her role is just she's a crazy lady, you know, but it's really interesting, and you are a shoe. Get it? My number 8 film is Foxcatcher, and if you recently saw our 2014 wrap-up videos, you know, once again you have an idea of how Zach and I both feel about this. Foxcatcher was unexpected for me. Like, I wanted to like it, and I thought that I would, but it was so much more, because I knew Steve Carell had a remarkable performance that he just kind of completely melts into, but Channing Tatum just blew it out of the water for me. We haven't seen anything like this from him basically ever. He did Side Effects, the Steven Soderbergh film, which I thought was pretty good, but Foxcatcher is all Channing Tatum like we've never seen him before, and I want to see more range out of him because this was terrific. He kind of carries the movie all on his own. The impending doom that Zach mentioned is there the whole time, and I just love it. It's such an interesting story. I mean, John DuPont was a very crazy man, but a really interesting person to learn about. I just really like the film. Bennett Miller is a terrific director, one of my favorite modern directors. Really, really liked Foxcatcher. My number 7 film is The Grand Budapest Hotel. Now, unfortunately, I have not been a Wes Anderson fan for a very long time. I'd always kind of known about his films, but I hadn't seen them. Then I saw Moonrise Kingdom when it was new, and it had just come out. And I don't know what it was about it. It was just such a great story that looked beautiful and felt beautiful that I had to go see all of his other films. And I did that, and then I saw Grand Budapest Hotel when it came out, and it's just such a beautiful story that is also in front of such a beautiful backdrop. I mean, the production design is gorgeous. The amount of work it takes to make a film like that, when it comes to cinematography, when it comes to editing, everything is so precise. It's so much fun to just think about even. A lot of people will give Wes Anderson trouble for being predominantly style over substance, which I cannot disagree with enough. Granted, his films are very stylized, but there is so much substance if you're willing to look for it. There's a lot of beauty, there's a lot of real human emotion that is kind of behind a layer of look how zany and quirky these characters are. But if you really look for it, there's so much there and it really connects. I think The Grand Budapest Hotel is his most emotionally resonant film to date, and I bought that on DVD as soon as it came out. My number 6 film is Interstellar. Now, at this point in time, claiming to be a really big Christopher Nolan fan doesn't mean a whole lot because it feels like everyone really is, but my favorite thing about him is that he can take an art film and kind of disguise it as an entertainment film, kind of like how Steven Spielberg does it. But The Dark Knight is a great film for people who are just casual moviegoers, but also if you're really, really into film, you know, like Zach or I, like we are, you can analyze it and look at it as a piece of art, not just a piece of entertainment. And Interstellar does this just the same. Basically, anyone can go into Interstellar and really like it, but when you look at it from a more critical standpoint, I think it gets even better. It's the most ambitious piece of work that I can remember in the longest time. I'm kind of always enthralled by movies that are either in the ocean or in space. Just the whole mechanics of it, floating around, not having any control over that. It's really tense when it's done right, and I love that feeling that I get from experiencing that, which is why I liked Gravity so much, but I really, really liked Interstellar, and the docking sequence was one of my favorite scenes of the year. We're in the middle of the reconnaissance, and Matthew McConaughey does terrific work here, Anne Hathaway does also, whether you're a big fan of her or not. Jessica Chastain and her small role shines through, and it was just a terrific experience that I saw twice in theaters as quickly as I could, just because each new time you see it, you pick up more and more details, and it gets more fun that way, and I just really, really liked it. And I know that's a silly thing to say in a top 10, but I just can't emphasize how much I really, really like all of these films. My number 5 movie of the year is Nightcrawler. Once again, coming off of Prisoners and Enemy, Jake Gyllenhaal is really putting in career best work these past couple of years, and his performance in this film, it's not Jake Gyllenhaal in it at all. You know, he is this character that we know nothing about at first, but then we just kind of start to try and figure out as the movie goes on, and you don't quite know where he's going, but you know it's going to be very, very unnerving and unsettling, and you can't look away. You know, it's like a car crash. They always say, you know, it's terrifying to look at, but you just can't stop, and that's how I felt. You know, there's a physical transformation that Gyllenhaal goes through, there has to be a mental transformation. He's going to a dark place, but it just comes off so well. And the way that, you know, the nighttime LA scene is shot is beautiful. This is Dan Gilroy's directorial debut, I believe. It's remarkable. He's going to go on to great things after this. Nightcrawler stuck with me for a while. My number 4 film is A Most Violent Year. Now, I know a lot of people don't really know about this. It wasn't a big film. It wasn't advertised very well. I know about this because the director, J.C. Chandor, made Margin Call a couple years ago and All Is Lost with Robert Redford. And those are both terrific films that I really liked that were also, you know, not seen enough. They're criminally underseen, I would say, and so is A Most Violent Year. It stars Oscar Isaac, fresh off of Inside Llewyn Davis, which was great. Jessica Chastain, fresh off of pretty much every great movie the past couple years. You've got David Oyelowo in a supporting performance as well. This movie isn't for everyone. It's kind of a slow burn. You know, it's not a fast-paced action thriller, but it's more of a character study between mostly Oscar Isaac, but also Jessica Chastain. I know it's broken record time because a lot of these movies I like for similar reasons, but just Oscar Isaac is one of my very favorite actors but he's been around a while, but he's not been well known, and he's getting that recognition that I think he so rightly deserves. And A Most Violent Year, I really think you should check it out if you haven't heard of it yet. Now, with these top 3, it's very difficult to place them. They're all very close together in my mind. Probably will be my favorite, 3 of my favorite movies ever. Number 3 is Gone Girl. Now, after The Grand Budapest Hotel, Gone Girl was the next movie that I really fell in love with this year. David Fincher is, of course, a terrific director, The Social Network being one of my favorite movies as well. And Gone Girl, for me personally, is rivaling The Social Network as my favorite Fincher film. I had not read the book. I still have not read the book. I'm not going to read it for a while just because it's too close to the movie time. So I didn't see the twists coming. I mean, I tried to guess them, but I didn't correctly. And they were great. I think they're very, very well done. I know people who read the book might have their issues with it, but I don't have that background. I loved this film, the way it was shot, the twists. They felt natural. They were terrifying. It was just like a really scary movie that wasn't quite a horror movie. And I really, really like it. I also bought that on DVD immediately. My number 2 film, which for many, many people this year is probably number 1, but, you know, decimal point differences between these 3 probably. My number 2 film is Birdman. And if you've seen basically any video that we've done recently, whether it's about Birdman or not, we're probably talking about Birdman because it was just so remarkable. I mean, Michael Keaton, who hasn't been a big deal in Hollywood in the longest time, is back with a vengeance, his best performance. Edward Norton's there, Emma Stone's there doing some of their best work also. The concept of the movie, the story itself, the fact that it was shot to look like one take, the way it's edited together, the jazz score in it, every single thing about Birdman was pretty much perfect. I don't have a single bad thing to say about it, and I just bought that on DVD recently, and I still don't have anything bad to say. It's been on my mind almost nonstop. You know, only one movie, as the list will show, has been stuck in my brain more, but Birdman's going to be one of my favorite films of all time. I can tell you that right now. Last, but of course certainly not least, my favorite film of 2014 is Whiplash. Now, Whiplash barely has an edge over Birdman for me. As a percussionist, you know, I was able to connect that extra level with the fact that it's about drums. And the jazz score here is also just a little bit better than Birdman. You've got all these standards. You've got the song Whiplash, you've got Caravan. They're just so great. Miles Teller, up and coming, big star. I predict he's going to go really, really big places. I think he was terrific. J.K. Simmons, of course everyone's talking about J.K. Simmons because he is the movie. The heart of this dynamic is the tension that J.K. Simmons causes, and it's, I can't say enough. J.K. Simmons is terrific. It is probably my favorite character of the year would be J.K. Simmons in Whiplash. Whiplash, for me, my favorite film of 2014. So, I hope that perhaps I was able to enlighten you to some films you hadn't heard of. If you go ahead and see any of these films because I recommended them to you, I would love for you to let me know that. whether in the comments below or on Twitter. Let me know if you see any of these. If you have seen them and you agree or you disagree, maybe especially if you disagree with my thoughts on them, also let me know about that because I would love to hear your thoughts on all of these. I love these films. I want to know why you do or don't love these as well. And we'll just have a good, fun conversation about film, which is my favorite thing to do. Coming up real soon, you're going to have Zach's top list, and then we're going to join back up for our worst list. So, I hope you enjoy those videos as well. I'm Nick. This is the Filmsmiths channel. See you next time.